Yeah, so this scene finally got animated, and boy oh boy, this is going to just lead to so much drama. I'm not even going to really touch this, because I feel like this is just danger, just you're really talking about it. But the point of the matter is that this character, was called out for being a dude, and just everything about this episode legitimately is interesting, because you have a lot of just the Quincy's taking control by Giselle and zombified. And seeing Bombi, just being this, zombie soldier that's being controlled and all that. And this very horrific scene where she, basically starts begging, hey, can you give it to me and all that. It's a very deprived scene. It's honestly a perverted scene. And there's a lot of takeaways from this, the way you can get it. And it just, wow. It's not something you would honestly expect from a character like Bombi that obviously was introduced to be very strong-willed, actually. Someone that, was all about their, I guess, their personality was just very, huge. They were all, I would never beg or anything like that. But the fact that you have her breaking down and begging Giselle in this episode just showcases, what Giselle's ability really does to people. What's even more crazy is that, Giselle can do this to anyone. Can do this to, Quincy's, can do this to, Shinigami. The question now is, can Giselle do the exact same thing to, Arankar, or Hollows in general? It really does make you wonder. But we do know that when it comes to Quincy's and, Arankar or Hollows, they're kind of polar opposites. They don't mesh very well, and they're always at odds with each other. That's basically the introduction to Quincy's and Hollows. We found out about this. So we can only assume that most likely, Giselle's ability to turn individuals into zombies probably would not work on the Arankar that is fighting them at this moment, and the zombies and stuff. So that is food for thought. But we need to talk about this scene. Hitsugaya appearing at the end of the episode, and it's clear that he is a zombie under command of Giselle. And the only way to really take this is that he's dead. He's straight dead. Hitsugaya is deceased. And this is a really huge bombshell for the series, because anyone that is aware of Bleach's popularity, for instance, the characters, how popular they are, Hitsugaya is, I think, the most popular character, at least when the manga was coming out around this time. Hitsugaya was always, top 2, top 3 best characters in the popularity polls. And the fact that, it's clear he's dead here is a pretty controversial moment for the story, because it's killing off an iconic character that has been around for a very long time, that has garnered a huge fan base. And, his Bankai is really cool. Everything about his fighting style is really cool. He's got a great voice actor and all that, great moments throughout the show and manga. And so seeing him like this, it's a pretty sad state of affairs, because it's clear that, Hitsugaya is gone. He's a zombie. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's potentially possible he's permanently gone. For all we know, there might be a way to reverse it. I mean, we do have to realize that, Kuro is literally in this fight shining like a gem, while, we have zombies versus Arankar. So, if there's anyone that could potentially save, any of the Shinigami from this, zombie virus that's going on, it would be him. But can he actually do it? Will he actually do it? There's a lot of ways to really look at this, because everything we've seen so far, it does seem like, when a Shinigami is turned into a zombie, they're dead. And we also need to factor in that this is the final arc of Bleach, okay? And obviously, since it's the final arc of Bleach, you gotta remember, when it comes to those final arcs, characters can die and stay dead. That's just how they work, because it's they don't necessarily need to be around anymore, because it's the final arc. If it's gonna be ending, the series is gonna end, it's time to now get rid of characters, conclude their character arcs, etc. And it's just wow, if Hitsugaya really died like that, that's kind of a sad ending for him, especially just everything that's happened throughout the story. That's legitimately crazy, just if this is really the end of him. But let's back up for a second, and let's just talk about some of the things that happen. So, one big thing that this episode obviously does is it has a competition between, Kuro and Giselle, and who can pretty much commit the biggest war crimes. Just who is more of an abomination of just war. Because, obviously, we have someone like Kuro that, He just does heinous things to his enemies. He is willing to do heinous things to his allies to a degree to win. And, I mean, seeing him basically bring back the Arankar and using them to fight and all that, like, this man just doesn't care. He legitimately doesn't care. And I gotta be honest here, I love the man so much. Like, I absolutely just love this drip, okay? Can we just take a few moments to talk about just how hilarious and over the top it is? Because, like, Kuro, as a character, I'm gonna be honest with you. Besides, like, Zaraki Kenpachi, I think Kuro is my favorite captain. Like, I legitimately love him, because, like I said, for one, he's got the Frieza voice actor going for him. I mean, that's enough. It speaks for itself. The fact that he has Frieza's VA, voicing him, automatically wins. But the character's personality is just so outrageously bright. It's funny. Like, it's just, I love the man, because when he comes in and he just starts talking crap to the opponents, it is just outright hilarious. Like, he's like, oh, you're outstanding, and then like, oh, but you're just a normal person pretty much and all that, and it's like, oh, everybody's pretty much normal or beneath me because I'm just too good. I love the way he carries himself, how intelligent he thinks he is. Just everything about it is legitimately just hilarious. And anytime he's in a fight or in an episode, it automatically is like a huge highlight. And just seeing this man actually having a fight against zombies, it's just like, this makes the most sense. Like, if there's anyone that could fight, like, a zombie apocalypse within Bleach, it would definitely be Kuro, because he's a guy that probably would create a zombie virus. Like, he's the type of guy that legitimately would do that. And so, just, yeah, everything about this, it's setting up for a really cool fight, and also, once again, returning Arankar, this is always cool, because, I mean, a lot of these characters, when they were introduced, there was a lot of potential for them, etc., and to see that they're kind of still around, thanks to whatever, Kuro did to them, it is nice, because this means that it opens the door up for maybe other Arankar to be around, to come back, so to speak, within the story. That is food for thought, because of just, like, everything this episode does present, since it is kind of bringing up the essence of life and death and all that, and who is dead stays dead, or who is alive and stays alive, etc. That's what this episode kind of does. Now, besides that, I want to talk about Orihime for a second, okay? Can we talk about how all she did throughout the story is pretty much eat bread? And somehow she grew, like, 10 sizes. Like, can we agree? Like, it's actually kind of wild. And if you know what I'm talking about. And I'm just like, the outfit really does, like, just really, it really emphasized that. It's like, how did this character go from basically flat as a board in her inception as a character, just eating loaves of bread? Like, go back to the early, like, 5 episodes of Bleach, and you'll see it. Just go to Google and type in Orihime eating bread, and you'll see for yourself. Just, she was literally flat. And now you look at her, it's like, how did this happen in a few years? It's just absolutely wild. Like, literally, that bread went all to one place. And, I mean, this is technically confirmed in the manga panel, so it's canon. But okay, anyways, besides that, if I'm going to take a hard look at this episode of Bleach and really analyze it, it's a very simplistic episode. It's nothing too crazy. Like I said, it reintroduces a few characters. It has some good animation sequences here and there. We have some controversial moments with, Giselle, which I'm not really going to touch too far. I might get into that, mess. I am not in the mood right now, but, yeah, this is obviously going to be a horrendous talked about moment. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm legitimately not. But, besides that, though, legit good episode of Bleach. I mean, I don't think it is the best episode. I don't think it is the worst episode. I just think it's a pretty standard, bog standard episode of Bleach, but nothing that is bad, so to speak. Anyways, besides that, I mean, we did have the return of Yoruichi. I think that is a huge deal, actually. Let me see if I can find the scene. Like, she briefly appears within the episode. Yeah, like, right here, she reappears. And we have, actually, after, I think, a decade. Like, has it been a decade? Yeah, it's been a decade since we've seen Yoruichi, and at long last, she, like, reappears within the anime. And I think that's honestly amazing. I mean, She is one of my favorite female characters within the story, gotta be honest with you. Like, I always, like, really enjoyed her character when she was introduced, like, in the early stages of Bleach, and I always felt like, throughout the story of Bleach, Yoruichi was underutilized. She was. I always felt that. I felt like she just could have been used a lot more as a character, and her reappearing within the final arc, you know, obviously there's some hope that, oh, is she gonna have, you know, more focus, more spotlight, more of a fight, because she's legitimately a great character. A great female character, and I would like more of her. And so, let's just hope that, you know, the anime does justice and we get more of her in the upcoming episodes. But, I guess I'm gonna leave it at that. Like I said, simple episode, nothing too crazy, nothing too deep or whatever. It just really just has two individuals that are committing war crimes against each other. But okay, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.